Hi, and welcome to Strip Down Spirituality. I am Lezli Goodwin. I'm a minister with Centers for Spiritual Living, and this is the podcast where I answer your questions to the best of my ability about spirituality, life, or whatever comes up. So let's just check in. What's been going on with you? I have had a really full week. There are a number of beloveds in my life that are going through health challenges. So love your people up. Make sure that they know that you love them, and be there with them as best as you can. Some good news. I finally have my book, Built on Faith, Transform Your Life Through Affirmative Prayer, up on Audible, the audiobook version. Wow, that has been quite the adventure trying to get that up. Audible is very picky on what they will and won't accept, and so I want to thank my producer, my recording producer, Mark Arnold, for staying with the project as version after version had to be remastered or re-edited. But it is up now, and it will be available on Apple Books and on Amazon shortly, within the next week. So that's pretty exciting. I'm ready to have that out and available, and I'm going to do a little bit of a relaunch of the whole book process through social media to give people an opportunity to re-engage with that book. And after this, I'm going to go spend some time in my pool. So swimming and water aerobics, that's my favorite form of exercise. And so when the pool is open, there's a really good chance that is where you will find me. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a pretty much everyday thing for me in the summer, and I'm just kind of hitting my groove with that. So I hope that you are having fun doing whatever is your favorite summer activity wherever you are. I am in Phoenix, where it is hot, which I think explains why I love the pool so much. So let's get into some questions. We have 5 good ones for you today. So first off, we have my computer with the questions is down here if you wonder why I'm looking away. Okay, I love New Vision Center and I've never been anywhere like it. Are there other centers like this? Yes. So for anyone who may not know, New Vision Center for Spiritual Living is the center where I serve as associate minister, and it's the center that I've been at for, I think, coming into this summer, 20 years. So that's pretty exciting. And I too love New Vision Center, and I don't think there's anywhere quite like it in the world. I think that we are unique in our culture and the way that we love each other. And we're part of an organization called Centers for Spiritual Living, which is a global organization that has over 300 centers and learning communities, sorry about that, worldwide. Primarily in the United States and Canada, but we have centers in Europe, in Eastern Europe, quite a number of islands. We have a center in Australia, a lot of action in Central and South America. So there's a chance that where you live there is one. And how would you find that out? So in the show notes, I'll put the link. The link for Centers for Spiritual Living is csl.org. And on that front page, there is a button called Spiritual Community. And if you click that, it will take you to information about CSL communities, as well as ways to find a center near you. And I'll also put in the link for the map where you can search actively for Centers for Spiritual Living near you. And that should do it. Every center is going to be a little bit different. We each have our own culture, but the teaching and the organization is available all over the place. So I hope that you find one near you. And if you cannot, you can always join us either in person in Phoenix or online through our YouTube channel, where we live cast every single Sunday. We live stream our service, and then we keep it up online so people can watch it all week long. And there's that. So question number 2, What does open at the top mean? Okay, so open at the top is our annual theme, the global annual theme for Centers for Spiritual Living that we're using this year in 2026. But it's also a phrase that Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind teaching, which is what Centers for Spiritual Living teaches, it's something that he said a lot, and I think it's a phrase he coined. And what he meant by that is that we are not held hostage to exactly whatever Ernest Holmes said in his lifetime. I mean, he passed away in 1960, so it's been quite a long time since he hasn't been on this plane writing things down for us, but that we should stay open at the top, meaning available for more information, for new people who are teachers and leaders to add to the teaching so that it continues to evolve and can stay relevant. Otherwise, when he died, it would have just become sort of set in stone, and it would make less and less sense in the present day as time went on. He did not believe he had special revelation. He did not consider himself a prophet. He considered himself a synthesizer of all of the wisdom from all of the teachings all over the world throughout time to bring kind of the highlight reel together to create a teaching that could work for anyone and that they could apply to their own faith. So he was fond of saying Science of Mind should make a Christian a better Christian, or a Jew a better Jew. And the only way that can continue to be true is if we stay open to the possibility of evolving the teaching as we learn more, as science expands, as psychology expands, as the culture changes. We need to be able to stay open at the very top, at the level of the organization and the teaching, so that it can stay real and relevant and life-changing for all of us. So that's what open at the top means. It's usually used when we say we find a new teacher, or a new writing, or a new way of looking at something. If somebody starts to say that's not Science of Mind, we can say, well, true, and we're open at the top. Is there a way to incorporate it into the teaching? So that's what we're doing with that. Okay, question number 3. You emphasize forgiveness a lot. What if the person doesn't deserve to be forgiven? Real, right? Real. I'm so glad you brought this up. I almost think in Science of Mind and in spirituality in general, we need a different word, because forgiveness is so meant in our culture to mean getting over it and reestablishing relationship and just sort of forgetting like it ever happened, like forgive and forget, right? But that is not what we're talking about in Science of Mind and in most places in spirituality. Instead, what we're talking about is a recognition that the weight you're carrying when you hold that grudge, when you hold on to sort of the rumination and the continuing talking about and thinking about the way in which you were done wrong, that heaviness that you carry, that was never yours. If somebody did something to you to harm you, that heaviness belongs to them, not you. And they may not be carrying it at all because they may not think they've done anything wrong, or they just may not care. And the truth is, unfortunately, sometimes people are like that, right? They may not care at all. And that doesn't mean you deserve to be carrying it. You don't deserve to have the anxiety and the heartbreak and the heaviness and the repetitive thoughts about this thing that happened in the past. So for us, forgiveness is about deciding to let it go, not let it go so that they can do it again, but just to stop carrying it, to release it from your consciousness. It will always be true that that's a thing that happened to you, and it's not like you'll forget that it happened, but that it doesn't get to take up time and space in your brain and in your life and interfere with your ability to have the life you want. And really, it's not about them. It's not about ever telling them that you've forgiven them. It's not about establishing a relationship again if that doesn't feel healthy or good for you. It's not about making them feel better. It's not something we communicate to them at all, because it's not about them. It's not about them. It's about you and how you feel on the inside of yourself. So for forgiveness, it's more a process of allowing yourself to lay it down, to realize that it's not yours to carry anymore, and to catch yourself when you're thinking about it and just remind yourself from that observer brain space that this isn't yours anymore. You don't need to keep thinking about it. It's done. It's resolved to the best it's ever going to be resolved, and laying it down. And so when I pray about forgiveness, I pray to have my heart cleared of the need to think about it, just washing it away. And the truth is, sometimes they don't deserve to be forgiven in that traditional way. They don't deserve to have a relationship reestablished. They don't deserve to have access to you and your tender heart. But you deserve to live a life that is free from being stuck in that, that sticky toffee molasses that keeps a part of you held in that place where that thing happened. So that is what we're talking about with forgiveness. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the other person at all. It's just for you. So if anybody has any brilliant ideas of what to call that isn't forgiveness, so that we can establish some clarity, that would be awesome. I love that, because I think it does bring up a lot of confusion and resistance to the idea of letting go of those things. But the truth is, holding on to it doesn't protect us the way we think it does. It doesn't keep us safe from someone doing something that will hurt us again. Being clear and clean about how we think about it, and then also really clear on whether we wish to or think it's safe to reestablish communication with someone. That is something that can help to keep us safe, to make good choices for our own precious beingness, and to be safe. And that's important. Okay, time for a drink. Hydrate or dihydrate, as my kids say. Let's look at question 4. We are going through these fast. How can one stay positive and support positive beliefs without spiritual bypass and ignoring the less than positive systems and events on the planet? This question came from a minister, I'm very sure. Okay, so we need to define some things before we have this conversation, right? So spiritual bypass, what that is when we sort of say, I'm so spiritual and I'm so, heavenly, that I just don't have negative feelings ever, and just sort of scoot over the top of any emotions that might be happening or any concerns, and just shove those down and hang out up here in the place where we can kind of ignore things that are going on. It's not healthy. Toxic positivity is a part of that, and it does not do good things for us, friends. So that's what spiritual bypass is. And how does one stay positive and support positive beliefs without falling into that spiritual bypass when there are many not as positive things going on in the world? Wars, genocide, erosions of political systems that have kept people safe and in freedom for many years, health challenges. There's lots and lots of things. Racism, sexism, ableism. I mean, the list of not so positive structures and events is infinite, right? So how do we stay positive and support positive beliefs in the face of that without pretending none of it is there? So one of the things that I think is helpful in this is to find a balance, to strike a balance between recognizing what is, right? We can't pretend like there isn't war going on, there isn't genocide going on, there isn't ableism and sexism going on. Those are real things working their way out in functionally every country, everywhere in the world at some point in time. And so we balance the recognition of what is, and I consider it like a radical acceptance of what is in this moment without accepting that it is permanent. and staying open to the positivity that is infinite potentiality. That something that I would consider negative might be happening right now, but I can also know at the same time that everything and everyone is of spirit, and that in spirit there is infinite potential, that every possible outcome is possible. There is availability in the world for it. So I'll use something going on with me as an example. So I have chronic illness, right? We've talked about this on a couple of different episodes. And I have to deal with what is. There are doctor's appointments and physical therapy and medications that I take and all of that sort of Western medicine stuff. And there's also going to work and having the energy to do that, and taking care of my family and having the energy to do that. And there are a lot of things in the lowercase r reality, in the manifest world of effects, that need to be handled and dealt with, whether I like it or not. And so I go in for radical acceptance of those things. I just don't waste any of my energy fighting with those things. Take care of what needs to be taken care of in this moment, while also continuing to do my spiritual practice and to lean into the recognition of my own wholeness, that it's not, wholeness is not a state of being. It's not, I'm less whole now than I was and I want to be more whole. That's not what it is. It's that I lean into the truth of my wholeness and invite it to show itself as a higher expression of my physical health. Knowing that while today, right now, there is no medical cure for the illnesses that I have, the autoimmune disease that I have, but medical science is advancing every single day, every single minute, and that same brilliant divinity that set the very stars in motion is at work in these researchers and these doctors and these brilliant people that may not be true tomorrow. Tomorrow there might be a cure. Tomorrow there might be a better medication. 5 minutes from now, I might feel better than I did when I started that prayer. And I think that is true for everything. When we rise up, we own the condition, we do what we can on the level of effect, and we rise above that, not in a spiritual bypass way, but in a way of leaning into the infinite potentiality of the universe and trusting that the divine can and does move us beyond where we are now into some greater place. And we do that by honing in on the spiritual quality that we seek. So I might give money to the ACLU, and I do personally, because that's a thing I can do about racism and about discrimination in my country, which is the United States. And I hold that knowingness of peace and equality and justice that are part of the divine expression. And I call on those qualities within myself and within the greater sphere of the divine, knowing that when I claim those powerfully, it comes into manifest form. And doing that as individuals, as communities, as big of a group as we can come up with, we can bring those qualities further into form, which shows up as solutions, as healings in the areas that aren't as positive. Now, I know that there are as many answers to that question as there are people who practice science of mind and other forms of spirituality. So I would love to hear your thoughts about that in the comments. How do you stay positive and support positive beliefs in your own life, even when things in the material world, in the lowercase r reality, feel messy and uncomfortable and negative? I would love to hear. I know that there's lots and lots of ways that can be done. Cool. Okay. Oh my gosh, we're already on question 5. Okay. I can't always go to the center on Sundays because of my schedule. I'm assuming this is a New Vision Center person, but it might not be. Is there anywhere else I can see your messages? well, it probably is a New Vision Center person, because most of my messages are given there because that is where I work, and it's not very often that I get a Sunday off to go speak somewhere else. So there are two places I can think of where you can see my messages easily. The first one is on this very YouTube channel, which is my handle is at Lezli Goodwin. Just make sure you spell it correctly, Lezli. If you're watching this, you are probably on YouTube, so you found it already. Congratulations. But this sometimes gets shown other places. So you can find that on my YouTube channel at Lezli Goodwin, where I have not every single talk I've ever given, but I think from 2023 forward, and I'm a little bit behind putting the 2026 ones up, but all of 23, 24, and 25 I think are up, and some of 2026. And there are in the playlist for my YouTube channel, by year you can see them. And then also, I'll put that link in the show notes below, and then also I'll put the link for the New Vision Center YouTube channel, which has all of the talks I've ever given at New Vision Center, which is 90% of the talks I've given ever. And also Reverend Karen Einhaus's talks. Again, not all that she's ever given, but most of them. And then also all of our guest speakers, which have been amazing. We often have Reverend Karen Russo, Reverend Jeff Hargis, Reverend Lori Frisbee, and then our ministerial students. Reverend Ron Trundle has given several talks there. Reverend Karen Blakely, and our ministerial students right now. Rachel Sartori is one of our ministerial students, and so we've got a couple talks from her, and all of them are wonderful. And then if you've watched every single one of mine and every single one that's up on the New Vision Center page, which feels impossible, but if you have, you can just search Center for Spiritual Living in YouTube, and it'll pull up all the other centers that put their talks up. And there, like I said, there are hundreds of them, so there's functionally an infinite collection of them. And then, say even that isn't enough for you, you could look at Mile High Church, which is a CSL center but doesn't use that in their name, where we have Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano, who is one of my most favorite speakers in Science of the Mind, and Reverend Josh Reeves, who is the other lead minister there. You could go to Agape, where Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith is the primary minister there. They've got lots of ministers, but he is the spiritual leader there. That is also a Science of Mind center, even though it's not affiliated any longer with Centers for Spiritual Living. And you can get lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of really good boosts, either on Sunday or anytime through the week. It is good stuff. I know I am watching other people's talks during the week when I need a little lift, especially in weeks when I was the one that gave the talk, because you get something different out of a talk when you give it than when you sit and listen to it. And so sometimes I just need to sit and hear and let my brain do that thing. So yeah, go looking. There are lots and lots of good messages. And you can even search by, if you go to the New Vision Center website, which is newvisioncsl.org, I'll put that in there as well. When you look at our videos through that lens, you can search by topic. So that's really cool too. Okay, so show and tell. I borrowed this structure from one of my favorite knitting designer podcasters, Andrea Mowry, and she always does show and tell, and hers is always like what knitting she's working on or what spinning she's working on. Mine is different, so I read a lot, so I share a nonfiction book that I'm reading and a fiction book that I'm reading every week, and most weeks it's different from the week before. So nonfiction, I am reading Teaching Adults, A Practical Guide for New Teachers by Ralph G. Brockett. And this is because I am working on writing a class for Centers for Spiritual Living, actually for the School of Spiritual Leadership, for practitioners and community leaders for the certification that's being developed. And I wanted a little bit of a less academic, more hands-on textbook for that. So I'm reading a few books to see which one might be the right book for that. So far I'm really liking this one. I'm not sure that's the one I'm going to go with, but I am enjoying it. I think it's well written and well thought out. My fiction book is From Witch to Eternity, which is book 4 of the Moonstone Bay Cozy Mystery series by Amanda M. Lee. It is a paranormal cozy mystery. Very silly, very light, very chill. Upcoming for me, we've got, I have a class that I'm prepping called Ancient Wisdom and Science of Mind. It's a brand new class from Centers for Spiritual Living that takes the same place as Roots of Science of Mind. If you are someone who is preparing to enter practitioner studies, it is a prerequisite for that class. So if you haven't had Roots yet, you still have that spot open. Ancient Wisdom and SOM would be a good class for that. My version of that class starts on July 21st and will meet from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time, all online. So there are no prerequisites, so anybody can participate, and I'll put the link in the show notes for you to register for that class if you would like. And also I have a couple of openings for one-on-one spiritual mentoring or practitioner work. If you are someone who is looking for some coaching and some support on your spiritual life, if you are serious about developing a spiritual practice and breaking through some old patterns or habits of thought or belief to have a life that more closely aligns with what you want, maybe I'm the coach for you. If you feel a resonation, you can check out my website, LezliGoodwin.com, and find out a little bit more about how we do that, or you can reach out directly to me at LezliGoodwin@gmail.com. Just make sure you spell my name right, because there is a different Lezli Goodwin who I'm sure is wonderful, but does not do spiritual coaching. And so an email to her will not help you. And, if we're the right fit, I would love to support you. If you found this podcast interesting, I sure would appreciate if you would consider subscribing to this channel, hitting like on this video. And if you want to know when the next one comes out, you can click on the little bell. That'll give you a notification, little pop-up when I put up a new video, so that you can check it out and see if it's something that you want to watch. I'm enjoying doing this. I love having this channel. I've had it for years. This podcast is only episode 6, but who knows how long we'll go, as long as there are questions that people keep submitting, I think. And so, yeah, keep in touch with us. Maybe tell some friends who might be interested in the same things. And if you have a question that you would like to ask, there is no question that's off limits. Trust me, if I don't think it's appropriate, I just won't answer it, and you don't need to worry about that at all. If you have a question, there is a link to submit that question. It is again in the show notes. You might see more or ... If you click that, it'll open up the description, and that's where you're going to find all these links. Please ask your questions there rather than on my Facebook page, because that way I will find the questions and they will make their way into the show. Help a girl out. Use the link. And that is the show today. I hope that you have a fantastic day. This is Friday, and go into the weekend. See people you love, do things you enjoy. I know that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be writing a talk for Sunday's message, or finish writing it and preparing it and spending time with family. I have my niece's bridal shower on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. Whatever you're doing, I hope that you are going into it loved up from the inside out and spending a little bit of time in spiritual practice, because it does us so much good. Have a great day. I'll see you next week.